The hospital room was eerily silent, except for the rhythmic beeping of machines monitoring Officer James Carter's fragile condition. The dim light filtered through the blinds, casting long shadows across the sterile walls. It had been 3 days since the accident, a high-speed pursuit gone wrong, and James lay unconscious in the bed, his body battered but his spirit seemingly unbroken. By his side sat Max, his loyal K-9 partner, a German shepherd with piercing amber eyes that seemed to hold an ancient wisdom beyond his years. Max had not left James' bedside since they brought him in. He had refused food, ignored commands from the nurses, and even growled softly when someone tried to move him away. His vigil was unwavering, as if he knew that his presence alone might keep James tethered to this world. Subscribe my channel. Thank you. James' family gathered around now, their faces etched with grief. His wife, Sarah, clutched her hands together tightly, trying to hold back tears. Their teenage daughter, Emily, leaned against her mother, her face buried in Sarah's shoulder. Even James' older brother, Mark, a stoic man who rarely showed emotion, wiped at his eyes with the back of his hand. The doctor entered the room, his expression somber. "I am sorry," he said gently, addressing the family. "We have done everything we can, but his brain activity has diminished significantly. There is no sign of improvement, and continuing life support would only prolong his suffering." Sarah nodded numbly, her voice trembling. "We understand. We just want him to be at peace." Max perked up at the sound of the doctor's voice. His ears twitched forward, and his gaze shifted sharply toward the syringe the doctor held in his hand. The liquid inside glinted ominously under the fluorescent lights. Max's muscles tensed as he watched the doctor approach the bed. "Wait," Sarah whispered, placing a hand on Max's head. "Let us give him a moment." But Max was not listening. As the doctor leaned over James, preparing to administer the medication, Max let out a low, guttural growl. Before anyone could react, he lunged forward, positioning himself between the doctor and James. His teeth were bared slightly, not in aggression but in fierce determination. "Max!" Sarah exclaimed, startled. She reached out to pull him back, but Max stood firm, his eyes locked onto the syringe. With a swift nudge of his nose, he knocked the syringe from the doctor's grasp. It fell to the floor with a clatter, rolling out of reach. "What is going on?" the doctor asked, bewildered. "This dog seems unusually agitated." Before anyone could answer, Max turned his attention to James. He placed both paws on the edge of the bed and began nudging James' chest insistently, whining softly. Everyone froze, watching in stunned silence as something extraordinary happened. James stirred. His eyelids fluttered open, revealing glassy blue eyes that slowly focused on the scene before him. "Max," he croaked, his voice weak but unmistakable. "James!" Sarah cried, rushing to his side. Tears streamed down her face as she took his hand in hers. "Oh my God, you are awake." The doctor quickly stepped forward, checking James' vitals. His brow furrowed in confusion as he noted the sudden improvement. James' heart rate was stronger, his breathing steadier. Whatever state of decline he had been in moments ago had inexplicably reversed. A miracle unfolds. Over the next few hours, the medical team ran a battery of tests. What they discovered shocked them all. James had suffered a rare reaction to one of the medications used during his treatment. This reaction had caused his organs to shut down temporarily, creating the illusion that recovery was impossible. However, his body had begun fighting back on its own, just as Max had sensed. Max's behavior became the subject of intense discussion among the medical staff. How had he known? Dogs are known for their acute senses, but this went beyond instinct. Some theorized that Max detected subtle changes in James' scent or heard faint shifts in his breathing patterns that humans could not perceive. Others believed it was something deeper, an almost telepathic connection forged through years of partnership and trust. For James, there was no question about what had happened. "Max did not just save my life," he told the doctors later. "He reminded me why I need to fight. That dog has always had my back, no matter what." Recovery against all odds. James' recovery was slow but steady. Physical therapy sessions were grueling, but Max never missed a single one. Whether James was struggling to take his first steps or relearning how to use his injured arm, Max stayed by his side, offering silent encouragement with every wag of his tail. One day, during a particularly difficult session, James collapsed onto the floor in frustration. Max immediately trotted over, resting his chin on James' knee. Looking into those amber eyes, James felt a surge of determination. "You are right, buddy," he muttered, pushing himself back up. "We have got this." As weeks turned into months, James regained his strength. By the time he was cleared to return to duty, he walked without assistance, though he still carried a slight limp. On his first day back at the precinct, the entire department lined up to welcome him home. Max led the procession, proudly wearing his K-9 vest as if to say, "This is my human." A bond beyond words. Years later, when James retired from the force, he and Max spent their days hiking in the mountains near their home. Though Max grew older and slower, his loyalty never wavered. On the anniversary of the day Max saved his life, James carved their names into a tree along their favorite trail. James and Max, partners forever. When Max passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 14, James buried him beneath that very tree. Every year on the anniversary of Max's death, James returned to the spot, sitting quietly as he remembered the dog who had defied logic and saved his life not once, but countless times. Their story became legend in the small town where they lived. People spoke of Max not just as a hero, but as a symbol of unconditional love and devotion. And while James missed his faithful companion more than words could express, he found comfort in knowing that their bond transcended even death. Because sometimes, the greatest heroes are not defined by their badges or titles, but by the depth of their hearts. Subscribe my channel. Thank you.